Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 386 of Pixels and Ink, the official podcast of CG Magazine, where we take a critical eye to gaming, comics, tech, and media. I'm your host today, Chris DeHoog, and I'm joined by our editor-in-chief, Brendan Fry.
Hello there.
Dayna Eileen.
Hey, what's up?
And Jordan Biordi.
That's me.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Meh.
I'm awake.
I'm okay.
It's 2022. You know, we're all fine here.
Back. I feel like crap.
Pain in the
That's just
Glaven.
Brendan's face.
I mean, I'm not in pain, but I spent hours in the hospital this week getting stitches for my son. So I mean, things
But
happen.
he got really cool bandages,
hear
and
that.
now he'll have a badass scar.
But hopefully, yeah, the doctor's like, oh, he needs stitches, otherwise he won't be able to grow a proper beard when he's older. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm worried about right now. His future beard.
Beard.
Thank you, doctor.
My kids won't grow them anyway, so it is
Well.
what it is. It is what it is. All right.
Well, actually, stemming off of that, he was excited today because I had him in his Mario t-shirt because it's Mario Day, March 10th. Much like May the 4th, we like to make up silly days that don't mean anything, much like Hallmark, and celebrate them in the gaming community.
Games of Hallmark.
Yeah, that's what we have in common with Hallmark, basically. So yeah, I just thought it'd be I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about our favorite Mario games over time, just to kind of get the ball rolling here tonight. But turns out Brandon doesn't like Mario.
I do not.
No.
Can't say it either. Fun fact.
Can't say what?
But we've a
Mario.
long established history of Brendan not liking fun
Yes, that's true.
or
I'm
happiness
pretty sure he
or
just came
sunshine.
out a little old man. and just-
he was like a reverse Benjamin Button, but then he
Yes.
just never got young.
his body got young, but his soul stayed old and angry.
Just and he hates us all, and yeah.
That's why he's in a blue
just
filter right
can't
now.
read
He's
the
just like
No.
I'm not in a blue filter. I just have blue light on me.
I'm
yeah,
one half
yeah.
of it.
He's in a cool color sadness. That's,
He's gonna start playing the saxophone in a minute. Saxophone.
those aliens are gonna come in from the song Blue. But
Oh, this is gonna
whatever
be
that
stuck in my
band was.
head.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead and
You're
name
gonna
that
text
artist real
while
quick.
I sing that.
Eiffel
I
65.
can't remember. That's right,
Oh.
Eiffel 65. That's right.
I'm sad that I
See?
instantly verified that in my own head. Oh yeah,
Well,
that's right.
But you
yeah.
know what? Brendan didn't even flinch. He knew that right away because he
He's
hates
got the old man
happiness.
knowledge.
We got to smile. We're good.
That song is a banger. I don't care what anyone says.
He's been stuck with me all day. He's done with the people picking on. He's over it. No, thank you.
Well, speaking of still speaking of Mario Day, you had a great write up on site today, Dayna, about Mario Day and what it kind of means to you as a gamer.
Yeah, it's some things. It means some stuff. Is that helpful? No, I mean, it's probably the same as any of you, except fun hating Brendan over there. I grew up with it. It's my father. He's no longer with us, and I have a lot of really fond memories of him sitting like 5 feet away from our TV, attached to a controller, playing Mario Golf when I woke up at like 6 a.m. Okay, that's what we're doing today. That's fine. But now I'm getting to do that kind of stuff with my kids. I mean, we tried the Super Mario and all that jazz when my son was first starting out. It turns out kids are not nearly as coordinated as we were when we were kids.
Right?
They cannot do the run and jump. That's not happening. There's no-
Something about the coordination between the thumbs. Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they
Hmm.
can't.
I found
they
that weird
can't make it happen. But it's cool that now I'm getting to do that stuff with my kids. And even if it's not necessarily a Mario thing, it's a Nintendo thing, and it's neat. I don't have a cool Mario shirt like Jordan does, though. Make more of those in pretty girl shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I'm noticing that they don't make those for like young girls either, because I can't find them for my daughter, but my son has like a wealth of options. So, yeah, actually, I kind of had a similar experience, like playing Mario for the first time, or one of the first times. It was like one of my earliest memories that I have, actually, like having that Nintendo box, brand new, and yeah, I think it was one of the first words I could write was Mario. So I've been like writing about games for my entire life because of him.
Impressive.
Yeah, and similarly, my mom, who was like no longer with us either, loved Dr. Mario and like would spend hours just playing that game and like is one of the few
I've
things
never
that she
played
could.
Dr. Mario.
Oh
I
really?
don't even
It's
know
pretty
what it is.
It's a classic,
It's like
Tetris
reverse
type.
Tetris.
Have you ever played
Puyo
Puyo
Puyo?
Puyo?
Yeah, it's
No.
Puyo Puyo type game.
Yeah, it's more or less Puyo Puyo.
What
It's
is
like
reverse Tetris?
it's
Googling
not so much
reverse
like
Tetris.
it's not so much like Tetris where you're trying to like form lines to like clear them. It's like you're kind
Oh.
of like stacking things in sets of threes to make puzzles, and then like they drop. So it's kind of like you're trying to like stack combos and stuff too. Kind of like Puzzle Fighter almost too is another comparison I would make, or like
I
don't
think,
know,
Chris, you
Bejeweled.
streamed it, didn't you? And I thought it was really,
Yes.
really messed up that there were games for kids that were all about like pills.
Yeah, it doesn't. The thematic
Doesn't hold
elements
up.
don't quite translate today. Yeah,
Doesn't hold up.
just throw pills at it till it goes away. Yeah, that.
Are you telling me that you can't do that because like
Uh,
I'm going to the
shouldn't do
wrong
that.
doctors?
Medical disclaimer here: we are not doctors.
None of
At
us. None of us are
all.
doctors.
None of
Brendan
us are
thinks he is
qualified.
sometimes, but he's wrong.
None of us own a lab coat. We don't have any qualifications.
We are
I
at
actually
best.
might own a lab coat. Not like a real one, but there were definitely some Halloween costumes. Yeah, I'm trying to make this like they gave me a mic arm. It was a really bad decision. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat now where I'm like showing my kids the games. Like we've been watching a lot of like Let's Plays and stuff because you only can play the game so much. And recently been watching Luigi's Mansion 3, which I kind of wrote off when I first saw a friend playing it when it came out, and I'm like, oh, this
Oh,
actually
so
looks
good.
there's more to it than I thought there was. So, so yeah,
There you go.
that's there we go for me. What about you, Jordan?
I mean, what can I say about Mario that hasn't been said about, gods and kings alike?
Not where I thought you were going on that one, but
Sorry. No, I think I might have told this story on a way earlier podcast. Like one of my really like earliest memories as a kid was taking a trip to Florida, and we drove there, and because my dad had like business partners who lived in the States, and I remember I have the vaguest memory of being in some person's like it was almost like a cold cellar, and all they had was like a TV and like a couple like just like those like folding chairs, and like Super Mario was on, just like the Mario 1 on the NES was just like there, and I kind of like vaguely remember playing it, and that's like one of my earliest memories as a kid of like playing video games. It's like as long as I have like memory, I've just like I don't know where it came from. I just remember I've always had an NES. So like
Yep.
yeah, like Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3 were in like constant rotation.
He came out an old man. We came out with video game systems.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just
That makes
had
sense.
mostly.
Which
They're
is
just there.
funny because like both my parents, my dad especially, were not particularly like fond of video games, but we just like I don't know where they came. I don't remember ever asking for it. We just sort of always had it.
Yep.
So it's like I remember like very clearly like like playing like Mario 1 all the time, playing Mario 2, not getting very far in it because it was so different, but like enjoying it, and then same with Mario 3. Like I spent my entire childhood literally never actually playing Mario 3 because we would do the thing in the first level where we'd get the 2 whistles and just go right to the last level, and it was
Yeah, I
so
don't-
hard for us, we could never beat it. So like
I don't
never
remember
actually,
ever playing anything in between
No.
there.
we never played through
And
any
who
of the-
taught
I
me
think-
that?
Yeah,
Who taught me I could
don't
do
know.
that?
I never watched The Wizard as a kid, so I didn't know. Like it was just like playground game knowledge, where it's like, oh yeah, you can do this, do this, and get the 2 whistles. So yeah, I mean, like it's one of those things that's just been with me forever. Like when I was a kid too, like growing up, like when I had my Super Nintendo, I never had Super Mario World. My cousin had it, so I played it. But like I almost constantly played Super Mario RPG to the point where like I was like mixing game and like imagination. So I would like boot up Mario RPG and I would like make my own like narrative and like and run around and do stuff. that like wasn't actually part of the game. And that was the same thing with Mario, like Mario 64. I would do that, and like, you know, I just used to like Mario 64. Actually, might have been was probably the first game I ever bought on my own with some like Christmas money. Like
The
we went to
first
store
game I
and chose it.
never figured out.
Was Mario 64.
Like I can't make even well, I guess I haven't gone back and played it. Like I still never understood, like it wasn't linear for me and I could never
Yeah.
figure that out when I was younger. So I just went nope
Mhm.
and I never went back.
Yeah. Well, it might have been different for me because I think the first games we ever played on our 64 was like I think a mixture of like Ocarina of Time and GoldenEye. So like when I actually had like my own like sort of like spendable money from Christmas, I was like, oh, I want to get. We went to Toys R Us and I got Mario 64 and Pokemon Pinball, and I loved.
There's Pokemon
loved-
Pinball? I didn't know
There
that.
is.
Yeah, Pokemon Pinball's
Yeah.
great.
Had a unique
Um,
cart too, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it had like a. Didn't it do something?
Or am I
Like a-
thinking of the Game Boy Advance one that had like the rumble sensor in it or something?
Maybe it
That
was
might
maybe
have
that,
been Game Boy Advance. Yeah.
yeah. I kind of feel like I remember that it did. Maybe it just had like a bigger like RAM set than most games. Because
Yeah.
I do remember it having a bigger cartridge. It kind of had like a bubble back.
Yeah, that might
Weird.
have. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
That's a
You could shake
dangerous.
the Game Boy and make it tilt. Yeah. So it's just like it's like what can you say about Mario? It's like so consistently fun, so consistently well designed. Even like the Mario games that I am not crazy about, like Galaxy and even like 3D World, like I'll concede that they're still like well made, fun enough games. Like they just they like for me they don't do like as much as like some of the previous Mario's did, but that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
It's like you honestly can't go wrong, and like yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you guys, although not nearly as much because like I tried to get my niece to be like a a Mario fan, so like
That's awesome.
and like she's not like she kind of like she was into it for a bit, and but like now she's sort of at that age where like she's kind of getting more into like girly things. But literally like anytime she comes over to visit, now like I just like if I just like have my Switch, she'll come over and be like, I want to play Cat Mario. Because she loves cats, and I showed her Mario 3D
cool.
World, so she's like, I want to play Cat Mario, I want to play Cat Mario. So we just boot it up, and she starts playing with me. So
That's fun.
it's great, and that's kind of the power of Super Mario, right? Like it's just like he's such a great character that like nobody can sort of hate him except for Brendan.
Clearly.
Clearly. Yeah, no, going back to like how we knew things back then. Like I had a slip of paper from Nintendo Power that came in some game. I'm not even sure where it was. We didn't subscribe to Nintendo Power, but I had this piece of paper that like one of those little leaflets that comes in games, and it said like how to do the trick in the third level or whatever of Mario 3, where you like duck down behind the thing, like you do that very specific pattern of things and drop behind the
Yeah.
background. Like, and that was just ingrained in my memory because we had this sheet of paper that came with something. And yeah, like the NES was just such a cultural phenomenon. Looking back on it now, like it was like this like bigger than the Switch is now for us.
Mhm.
Except it was like a whole brand new thing, right? Like,
I watched it was a documentary on Netflix, I believe, about like
Yeah.
early gaming and stuff. And I never realized this, and I don't know if it was quite that far back, but before like game guides and stuff like that, you used to like call a phone number.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
I remember
well,
that.
yeah,
You remember that because you're our resident old man.
Nintendo. Well,
Was-
Nintendo had that too for probably at least well into the
Nintendo Helpline.
yeah, like until well into like the or probably I'd say late 90s, early 2000s. I distinctly remember like there were times where I'd go to my brother's hockey games and I'd have nothing to do. I'd get bored, so I'd call the Nintendo helpline.
That seems the thing
And
to do.
sometimes you could
Yes.
just like it'll say like like for like tips and tricks press 3, and you'd like press it and it would just give you this like automated sort of response like little like yeah like in Legend of Zelda whatever, if you do this and this you can find this, and it was just like thanks for like for more information subscribe to Nintendo
That's cool.
Power. Like yeah,
Mhm.
so like
I would call that all the time
they
too.
had the
I
tip
didn't
master.
know that.
yeah
This took me back to like outside our public pool. There was an old payphone, and like if you pressed the thing 3 times and then hung up the phone, it would ring back, and like that's what.
yeah.
I didn't call
We used to do
Nintendo,
that.
but
We
I
were
used to
little-
break the payphone.
We were little
And-
shit
and
with payphones.
Someone would call back, and the very irate adult would yell at you. It's a weird trick.
You don't answer it, God. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we'd call
Chris
the
is just out here
operator.
answering phones.
Well, what's the point of making a ring if you're not going to answer it?
That's fair.
We try to prank call
That's
the operator for no reason. It's poor people.
Uh,
doing their job.
Kids in the audience,
411.
payphones were a thing where people used to make phone calls. It had nothing to do with your
Yes.
smartphone.
People don't even
I
make
think
phone
they-
calls anymore.
you know what?
Somebody
They
calls me, I'm
still
like, why?
like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's always the spam bots. No, it won't. No.
I
Ugh.
Yeah.
I
No, I don't wanna
genuinely
talk.
can't recall seeing a payphone in Toronto at least, and I don't know how long, but I definitely remember seeing them in San Francisco, and I also saw them in Brazil. So they do still exist. They're out there in the wild.
They are out there. And they're probably
one wants to
growing
touch them the
wild
last 2
things
years.
as well.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wipe
Yeah.
it down really thoroughly.
Miscast Joe, thanks for subscribing.
Hey, he's a winner.
He's a winner.
He's a winner.
A winner is all of us, thanks to him.
Wasn't he,
Um,
wasn't he already subscribed? I remember last podcast we didn't we?
It's a new month.
Yeah, we've
Uh,
had this is Joe's second month.
Oh, you have to subscribe every month?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the
It's not just a
kinda s-
follow. Subscribing is different.
what the hell? What kind of service
Yeah.
is that?
that we're on.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there's a free month subscription included in your Amazon Prime subscription if you have it. So.
Which I just used.
Hey,
Be surprised. Be surprised.
a hype
guys.
train was close. A hype train is close. It says sub gift or use bits now. Wow, I've never
Oh my
actually seen
God.
that screen
We're
pop
gonna
up.
do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
We need to make bits. Like we need to make our set our little goodies and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to use Twitch. That scares me.
One
No
day
idea.
we'll
frightens
figure it
me.
out.
Well, our second story today is actually a bit of a blast from the past as well, in a way. In that the first trailer for Kenobi or ObiWan Kenobi, rather. I keep shorting it, but it's always supposed to be ObiWan Kenobi, the Disney Plus series.
It
Yeah.
really
Drop
shouldn't be.
It feels
should
like
just
it
be
should just be
Kenobi.
called Kenobi. Yeah.
For a
And
while, I
then-
think it was just Kenobi, and then they made it the full thing, and
The
now it's just I keep
Kenobi.
saying the wrong thing.
The wrong
Um,
thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, did you guys catch the trailer? Or...
I did.
I have been yelled at multiple times just today for having not watched it. But then I read a news story about it, so I'm good.
Oh no, you're not. That's
That's
not
the same
enough.
thing.
No, it looks very very good. I'm
Yeah.
very impressed with it. The very first picture they released of him in costume, updated costume, was like, okay, yes, this is like you can really see the connective tissue there to Alec Guinness's portrayal
Mhm.
from the first movie.
Mhm.
It's actually kind of uncanny how close they made him look. Like it
It's
really
impressive.
does look like the time has passed adequately. Which is saying something because he's quite a bit younger than Guinness was, I think, at the time.
I believe
Anyways,
so.
did any of you watch Star Wars Rebels by chance? Before I go off on
No,
a
but
geeky tangent?
I noticed I could have I've seen like bits and pieces here and there, so I kind of recognized that weird spinny lightsaber right
Yeah.
away,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, this must be one of the guys. I'm like I wanted to go to Google, but then I
know
I
what's
started
happening.
playing Elden Ring, so I didn't care enough to be like, wasn't that a guy from Rebels? Like they're putting a lot of Rebels characters in these new shows.
Mhm.
Yeah, so those are the various characters they show. There are the Inquisitors, who are like Jedi hunters, which Vader himself has kind of like raised up and sent out to find the few remaining Jedi. So it was speculated for a while that the Grand Inquisitor, like the big guy with the spinny
Mhm.
lightsaber,
Mhm.
still looks kind of silly, even in live action. But there's more of them involved in the trailer, at least, than I think most people expected. So that's kind of like an interesting cross section there. I just found that the cinematography alone of just a trailer like looks like a step above most of the other Star Wars stuff we've seen recently.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it turns
Yeah.
out. I still haven't watched Boba, and I want to.
Me
I
neither.
promise. I'm not just a bad person, but like mostly.
I've been
It's
meaning
probably
to.
better to watch it all in one go. Like you're better off waiting, I think, now that that's over.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
you
watch
did
it
the
a
right
day.
thing.
We're done. I hate waiting.
Because
I'm not patient.
I'm still behind on the second trailer of Mando, so
Second season.
second that's what I
Also,
just
the
the trailer.
trailer.
That's also yes.
Both,
back
because
thing
he's
you're
a real
talking.
G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
Crazy.
Book of Boba Fett's like Mandalorian season 2.5. Like,
Mhm.
it veers hard into the Mandalorian woods halfway through.
'Cause I think
So
that
if
was,
you
like-
watch the Mandalorian and like it, you'll like the last half of the series at least.
We
That
did
was like
it.
my my cynical thought right after the trailer was over. I was like, I wonder how like Boba Fett and the Mandalorian are gonna like incorporate into this. And I was like, oh wait a minute.
Yeah,
Mando, I
that's a
can
long ways
probably
away.
see. Well, Mando, no, maybe I guess not.
No,
I saw like a
Mandalorian's
little,
5 years after Jedi, so
Yeah, I
little
guess that's
video or
yeah,
something
that's true.
yesterday. It was just like a really short scene from Boba Fett, like one quick battle scene, and it just said, "How many cuts can you put into one scene?" And it just counts every time the camera cuts. It's like 16 in like a 12-second clip. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
impressive and excessive, and I'm here for it.
Robert Rodriguez made some calls on this one. Let's say.
So I should know that going in.
The Nolan school of fight choreography, just cut repeatedly so no one knows what's happening.
I dig
Yeah,
it.
it didn't quite live up to the one episode of Mandalorian he delivered. I thought that would be what we were getting from the series, and it wasn't quite that intensity. It's fine, it's okay, it's what it is. But Obi-Wan though looks fantastic.
it
We
does
also got a
look
first
cool.
like a Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, but it's just him in the suit. So it's like, I mean, Vader's cool, but it's still just Vader's suit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how to.
And I guess
feel.
we'll see how he's gonna get like actually incorporated into the show because they made a point to have his little like mouth sounds at the end of the trailer. So
supposed to be a
mouth sounds,
rematch.
That's
no sense.
great.
Yeah, actually,
Hi,
some
I'm
of the second
I'm
episode
Vader.
was
This is my
all
ASMR,
ASMR.
channel. Yeah, the same show.
he would.
Oh my God, I
he
wonder if
would
that exists.
rock an ASMR channel.
Googling.
Mm.
I find your
Darth
lack of faith disturbing.
Although see
I'm
now, but
all
I
excited. Oh my God, it exists.
Oh
I'm
god, of course
curious-
it does.
I'm curious to see like again like how much of Rebels like lore might actually work into the Kenobi thing because I know it was quite a bit after, but like I know like Rebels did that really cool arc where like Darth Maul returned and he like fought Kenobi at the end, but like he was already an old man at that point, and
Yeah, they don't need to go that far.
I still think it would be cool.
I don't know.
Live
They brought
action
Maul back enough
rematch.
times. I think they've used up his 9 lives, as it were. Like
We don't need him back again. Are
like
you
the fight
sure?
with the fight they have in Rebels is like a perfect ending to that little saga.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
and this is far enough removed because this is 10 years. This is smack dab in the middle of the two of the time with two movies. Like it's 10 years from either movie. So to jump ahead 10 years
Right.
just to have that duel is like, eh.
Well, because did his brother get involved too at one point?
Oh, he was in the Clone Wars.
Storyline.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think he stayed dead in the Clone Wars, but
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, we'll see. It looks, yeah, it definitely looks like a different, a shift in tone at least for the Star
Mhm.
Wars stuff. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm down for it. I liked Ewan McGregor a lot as Obi-Wan. He was one
Yeah,
of
he
the
pulled
highlights.
the
of
role off very well.
Yeah, he's like
it's
one
kind
of
of been the one
only good things
enduring
about that.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, those prequels.
Because like people have had their I've watched the consensus shift on the prequels over time. Like people didn't like them at first, and now they've kind of like come back around to people, and like the people who bashed Hayden Christensen are now like in love with him as in the role. So the one thing that has been consistent throughout has been Ewan McGregor was great in that role. So
Mhm.
I love
and
it.
he's just genuinely excited to be involved in this again. It's so nice to see someone like
Yeah.
actually that invested in it. So but 2 months to go until we see that. In the meantime, back to gaming. We had the state of play from Sony this week. Bit of a small conference. Could have been called a Square Enix Presents type thing.
There's a lot of Square on there.
A lot of
Yeah.
Square. I'm probably again the only person excited in the room about this, but they're bringing back the Valkyrie Profile
Valkyrie, was it
franchise.
Valkyrie?
Valkyrie Profile, yeah.
Okay.
It's called Valkyrie Elysium, but it is a spin-off or it is connected to that old JRPG series that no one really played, which is a shame. But
Hence my
we also
world brimming with excitement.
I know no one's meeting me halfway on this one. Speaking of nostalgia, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection was announced at this as well. It's hitting all the platforms. It's including like every old Turtles game, basically, including multiple versions of a couple of them.
I mean, I couldn't help but laugh seeing it during the state of play because it's like, they're making a big deal about it, and this is like the Sony press conference, the power of PS5. to emulate Game Boy games. Like every game that was in that is practically like an NES and SNES era Game Boy game. Like,
well, I don't think it's much about posturing about the power of the system because that's been proven with other
no,
games.
but that's just what made me laugh.
I,
Wow, what a thing to show at your state of play, direct.
Yeah, I will say, like, it wasn't as huge to me. Most of the things that were there I'd already seen before, or they just were very niche things. So, like, usually at something like that, it's a lot of things I don't know because I don't play a lot of the smaller games. But there's always something that I usually get pretty excited about, and I didn't this time. A bit of Forsaken, I think it's called.
Forspoken.
Forspoken,
Yeah.
sorry. I was close. There were some letters.
It's close.
But that game looks pretty cool, but almost looks too much. Like I'm like, this looks awesome. I'm like, and now she's like light surfing to battle. Okay, sure, we could do that. It's confusing.
Maybe I'm just extra jaded because as I saw Forspoken in like a post Elden Ring world, I was kind of just like, this just looks like it's gonna be the worst version of Elden Ring. Like,
yeah, you're just wearing your rose-colored glasses there for one specifically.
well, but you know what? But I think I honestly do kind of, part of me does think like now, like and I've seen some like interesting like kind of like think pieces about it too, about how like Elden Ring as a game has kind of like really shown what open world RPGs can be. So like to go to what now granted, like I guess we still have to wait and see how Forspoken plays out, but if it's anything like your standard open world JRPG affair, like it's just gonna kind of be like bland in comparison. Like I couldn't go back to Skyrim after playing Elden Ring and be like, wow, this is so exciting and the world feels so unique. Like,
that's where I'm at
don't know.
though. I wish that Elden Ring had like, I know you're not supposed to want this, but a slightly dumbed down version of it because I still need to sit
Dayna
down
right now.
Yeah, like
I
do because I love Skyrim and that's very much the feel that Elden Ring gave me was a much better version of that, but I can't get into it because I don't have the time for those kinds of battles. I don't have the time to sit on a boss for an hour and a half. And it's not that I don't want to, I just can't at this point in my life. So maybe it'll be a game I'll come back to when my kids like move out or something.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk more about this in the what you're playing section because I got into it as well this week and had some thoughts.
Sure.
So still stemming off of Elden Ring, though, actually, Yahtzee from The Escapist had a good think piece up on the channel this week about the nature of like open Western. Yeah, he kind of walked the difference between Western and Japanese open role games. Now, Forspoken being from Square Enix's Luminous Productions falls into the Japanese side of it. I believe it's a Japanese-based studio. So by nature, if it holds true to the kind of cultural norms we're seeing right now, it'll be more of that or less of that like guided Ubisoft type sandbox. That's even if it is an open world, actually. Come to think of it, I'm not even sure it's how much of an open world thing plays into it. Not in the same way.
Yeah, because just based on what they've shown, it looks like they're really trying to like hammer in the idea of this like sense of fluidity and movement. So like I couldn't imagine that they wouldn't give you a kind of like open world to play around in with that kind of like because you can like whip off of like branches and soar through the air and like light water surf. But like to and sort of in that vein and kind of to Dana's point, that was something like watching the trailer that I was like marginally concerned about. Now I'm sure the game will be like fine and balanced, but part of me couldn't wonder. And again, like just because I was thinking about Elden Ring, like if they're going to give you too much, like you're going to have too many abilities and too much power that like they're throwing a lot of these big looking monsters at you, but like if you can like vault 60 billion feet into the air and start whipping lightning bolts at them from the sky, like
it
how
looked
much challenge
excessive,
is involved,
right? I don't know if that's like just the beginning
bit.
of a cutscene or something. That I'd have to see more, I guess, before I can judge.
No,
but
because
for me,
they showed her doing that move where she was like flying up into the air like 3 or 4 times. It looks like that's going to be a power move.
I know that like I felt that way about Lost Ark too, though. I was just like one button and you do like backflips and stabbing and all that stuff for like a solid minute. I'm like, okay, and done.
Yeah, I mean, like sorry, stuttering here. I was thinking about watching it that they haven't really shown us like a lot of uninterrupted gameplay. It's been a lot of like the cool moves and stuff from gameplay, and like some of the like a hint of some of the stuff she can do, but it hasn't been like an extended gameplay sequence shown really. That being said, it does look very fluid, like compared to like Trek to Yomi, the one samurai based game that was shown later on.
Yeah.
Watching that footage, I'm like, okay, well, that is clearly like one of those animated kill sequences or something. Like you could very clearly see the seams between like what was loose gameplay and what was like the animations and stuff. And I don't get that same sense from Forspoken.
Yeah, but I think I don't know if maybe it was just the difference in presentation with Trek to Yumi, because like that, even just the way like it was being played like during the demo or the trailer, I was kind of like, okay, like is this an intern? Like they're not showing off like what this game really is. Like you could see like moments where they're kind of like stuttering to like do attacks and like trying to like anticipate things that weren't happening. So it's kind of like, okay, like I don't know, I get kind of a smaller studio vibe from this game right off the bat. But that being said, it still does look kind of cool. It looks interesting.
Yeah, very uniquely stylized. Game. Yeah.
Although I felt bad, because they made a big deal to show off the names of the voice actors, and I was just sitting there like, am I supposed to know who these are? Like maybe anyone who knows who they are is gonna be excited by this, but I was just like,
I don't watch enough Japanese cinema to get the references, unfortunately.
Like, who are these people?
It's very stylized though. Like it looked very cool while doing it. Yeah. I was like, okay, I don't know these names, but cool. I'm excited to see them. I guess it's like very almost Tarantino, like Kill Bill's type of look,
or like like 2D Kurosawa almost. If you're like,
like
very obvious comparisons.
For half a second, I was like, is this some kind of extension of Ghost of Tsushima or something?
That's what I thought too, actually.
Just because it's a Sony state of play, right? So yeah.
I did say to Ridge in the Slack that starting off the presentation with a robot saying this week's dinosaur forecast behind like a weather map was a real power move for the presentation. Like that's how you get attention.
But here's my real question. When the sky opens up and dinosaurs... Nope, not even why.
Why is any?
We just rain dinosaurs from like above the buildings.
Yeah.
Why aren't all the dinosaurs dead when they hit the ground?
Dayna, why would they be? Sharknado.
Exactly.
Sharknado rules.
Dayna, you got to go back to grade school and learn your dinosaur anatomy. It clearly says in all the history books that dinosaurs could survive a fall from 1,000 feet
history
while
books?
smashing into buildings. Yes, the history books.
Oh my god.
In the Jurassic Scrolls, yes.
Yes.
Exoprimal is what we're talking about. That was a weird looking one. I first because I just first tuned in, I saw some dinosaurs and like, oh, weird, Capcom. Okay, is this Dino Crisis? Why are there exosuits? Okay, good. It's not Dino Crisis. Like that's not how I want Dino Crisis to come back.
I was like, part of me felt that way too, because I saw it was Capcom, and for half a second I wasn't sure. I was like, wait a minute, did Capcom even make Dino Crisis? Like I forgot.
They definitely did.
They did, yeah. I completely
did.
For whatever reason I had like this weird like thought that maybe it was like a Sega property, like because like the Dreamcast had so many weird like horror games. So for like half a second in my mind I was like, what's that? But no, it was on PlayStation because I remember playing it on PlayStation, and yeah, it was a Capcom thing. So when I saw Capcom and I see dinosaurs, I'm like, okay, here it comes, Dino Crisis. I don't care if it's a weird exosuit fighting them in the streets. Like I want more Dino Crisis.
Not like this.
Well, because didn't Dino Crisis 2 get really weird too?
No,
like,
3 got weird.
Okay, there you go.
3 was in space.
I mean, like, there you go. Dinosaurs in space.
I must have blanked that out of my memory then.
That's
because I started the first 2 games. So yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs in space.
Original Xbox game, I believe.
Oh, see, that's the problem right there.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
I don't know why they're all alive and not squished.
Because dinosaurs always land on their feet, Dana.
They don't, I promise you. Watch that video. They do not.
That's true. They don't.
have reinforced spinal skeletal structures that allow them to get
They do
smacked off
not.
buildings.
A wizard did it.
They're
Yeah.
80% Jello.
Okay, so just a quick note here. We need to just stop the stream for a moment just to sort out some internet issues. So hang tight and we'll be right back.